My video for April the 22nd, 2019 is video number 3063. The title is The Truth About the Trump Train. Let me be as clear as I can be. I do not know about Donald Trump's presidency. He has always been a businessman, a wheeler-dealer. His book, The Art of the Deal, plainly states that. I have many friends who are convinced that since he is not a politician, and since so many actual politicians seem to oppose him, he must be making America great again and leveling the playing field for average people. The increase in jobs is one point I hear again and again. It is said that he has reversed the job drain in the US. Do we not know that these numbers can be and often are manipulated? As I've said before, his alliance with Israel is very troubling to me, since it is a terrorist nation, just as the US Inc. manufactures terror all over the world. War has long been our primary commodity, and he has appointed many military people to his team. The phrase, the last Trump, that refers to trumpet is a coincidence I take somewhat seriously. Does it have significance? I really do not know. Like many, I want a more honest world to replace the prison planet of deception and violence. The direction the Trump train is taking us remains to be determined. The outcome will not be clear until the dust settles a bit more. Interestingly, I waited until after I attended the meeting at the Yoga Shakti mission today, in which my friend Shama gave a very interesting talk. She wrote in the blurb for her talk, "We all live within the ruins of an ancient structure whose vast size has hitherto rendered it invisible. The entire surface of the earth is marked with traces of a gigantic work of prehistoric engineering, the remains of a once universal system of energy and magnetism." Shama will give a presentation based on the books of John Mitchell on megaliths at Yoga Shakti Mission from 9 to 10 a.m. on Sunday, April 21st. All is welcome, or all welcome. Yes, I did not go. I was going to go to a sunrise service this morning, but it was so cool outside, under 60 degrees, 57 degrees this morning, at around between 5 and 6 a.m., that I decided, I'm not going to go out there and freeze in that wind at the ocean front. I did talk to a lady a little bit earlier who had been there, and she said people had blankets wrapped around them. And I know that that's the way people are in Florida. When it gets down and be 60 and below, it's considered really, really cold, unlike up north when that might be considered really, really warm. In any case, I am baffled by Donald Trump. I have many, many friends who are on the Trump train, and that includes people in the United States as well as people in Europe. Those are people, of course, that I communicate with more than I do from other parts of the world, although I do have communication that goes on from people in other places as well. Africa, Latin America, Asia, of course, and even Australia and New Zealand, because I've connected with people all over the world. And of course, I was part of the Australian delegation to Swiss Indo, but that's another story. Looking at Donald Trump, I mean, because I have so many friends that support him and think he's turning everything around, I have wanted to give him support. But when he moves the capital of Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and when he puts the United States Embassy in Jerusalem, and he's in essence advocating the continued displacement and in many cases slaughter of innocent Palestinians by the so-called Jewish state, which again is not a Jewish state. It was not supposed to become a Jewish state until the Messiah returned. And in case you haven't noticed, that hasn't happened yet. And I place significance in such things. In any case, the lecture at the Yoga Shakti mission was really, really good, and a lot of interesting things came up in the discussion. Not least of which was the fact that there seems to be a multitude of megaliths that defy human engineering capabilities even now in the 21st century. I mean, the tight fitting of the joints of pyramids and other structures and many other feats of tremendous engineering. I mean, you can't slide a piece of paper between the stones of the pyramids in Egypt, but there are other pyramids that have been uncovered because they were covered with vegetation. The rainfall was much more, so that they look like mountains, but underneath they are revealed to be actual pyramids. So, folks, here's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of things that we just have not been told. A lot of things that do not make sense. All of these megalithic structures seem to come from very ancient time. We're not talking 4,000 or 6,000 years, as some people would like the age of the earth to be only, 7,000 years old. But hundreds of thousands, millions even of years that go back a long, long time. And of course, we have not uncovered many of these ancient civilizations, but yet there are remnants of things. We talked about some of the cities of Atlantis, for example, that have been discovered underwater. They're now covered by what we call ocean in the Bermuda Triangle, and there's another triangle, I forget what the name of that one was, up off the coast of Japan. And the Philippines sit in that area. Of another triangle where ships have just simply disappeared. And there's, again, here's what I'm saying. A lot of things we simply do not know. Trump, if he wasn't aligned with Israel, if he wasn't trying to continue the war game status, and there's all sorts of talk in his administration about war with other nations, and he's advocating the theft of land from not only ancient Palestine, but from Syria, the Golan Heights, and other things. There's so many things that trouble me tremendously, because I try my best to look at things from different angles. And, I've tried to make my videos brief and pointing in certain directions that will lead to things that will make us scratch our heads if we're thinking people, if we're not preset in our ways and think that there's a certain religion or a certain way of looking at things that has to be right. Again, we do not have the technology in the 21st century to build some of these pyramids and some of these ancient structures that we have uncovered, that we know exist. We do not have the technology today. So what makes us think that we are an advanced civilization? To me, we are not an advanced civilization. We are a civilization that has deteriorated morally and spiritually and scientifically, because we cannot do what the ancients done. And as I pointed out in the discussion today, we cannot even do what the Coral Castle was. I mean, that was built by a little man from Slovenia, or no, that wasn't where he was from, Latvia or whatever, built by a little man who put great big giant coral rocks in place, and the door, you could push it with your finger and it would swing open. That's how perfectly balanced it was. He used a technology that we don't have in the 21st century. Lots of things to think about, and I invite you to think about them. Thank you for listening, and namaste.